quarterback from UCLA, number 8, Troy Aikman. At running back from Florida, number 22.
And Terry, Randy, and I will see you at halftime. Coming up, the Eagles and the Cowboys. The winner is off to San Francisco for the NFC Championship.
Number 48, Darryl Johnston.
Come out there and keep the pressure on for 60 minutes. Go. Let's go out of here. KB on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Zendayas is down.
The Eagles sent someone after Zendayas. Look at Gogan there. He's going in a stand. This is a real fight.
That is coming down to Martin at the 5, out across the 10. Runs to the 15, and he is cartwheeled by Heath Sherman.
Texas Stadium in Irving is the site of the third meeting this year between Philadelphia and Dallas, and tickets are nigh unto impossible. It will be a best 2 out of 3 with a 60-minute time limit. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist along with Dan Fouts. Philadelphia and Dallas have split their first 2 games this season. Game 3 this afternoon, a lot more on the line, Dan. And to put it in political context as we await the inauguration of our new president, it's a liberal-conservative battle today.
And you might be surprised, but the Cowboys are the conservatives in this game. With 6 Pro Bowl players on offense, you'd be surprised to find that Jimmy Johnson has told his offense that he wants them to be patient, to avoid the bad play, the turnover. Let his #1 rated defense win this football game. In fact, he told the offense, if you think you have to win this game, you probably won't.
The Cowboys are here as division champs. The Eagles are here as wild cards. They had to play last week. They won a big one at New Orleans. But there's been an ongoing conversation. Which is of more value, the rest or the momentum? And Richie Kotite said last night, I can promise you, you can't buy momentum, and we've got a ton.
Well, and they got it because of that great come-from-behind win last week against New Orleans. Kotite said he's the liberal in this game. He has to open up his offense early in this game, and he doesn't think that the Cowboys can come from behind, because if they have to, they'll face that great pass rush of the Eagles.
Philadelphia won the toss, and they will receive to open the game. This is Dallas's first home playoff game since 1983. Lynn Elliott sends it deep by Sekahema out to the 29-yard line. So the Eagles will open with very good field position. And they have Randall Cunningham, stung from the memory of his benching in the second game here in Week 8. Ron Heller, Brian Baldinger, former Cowboy, Alexander Floyd Davis, and Keith Byers, the tight end. Herschel Walker and Heath Sherman open as twin backs. Fred Barnett and Calvin Williams, and Richie Kotite, the head coach, also serves as the offensive coordinator and calls the plays. From the 29, 1st and 10. I formation. The former Cowboy, Herschel Walker, to the 32-yard line where Tony Talbert, number 92, makes the stop. Charles Haley expected to have a big day. He's an early season acquisition from the 49ers. He is joined up front by Tolbert, Casillas, and Maryland. The linebackers, Vincent Smith, a rookie, Robert Jones, Ken Norton on the outside. And the secondary, another rookie, Smith, Larry Brown, Washington, and Everett, all coordinated by this man, Dave Wanstead, whose name has been prominently mentioned for a couple of vacant jobs. Cunningham showing a bit of patience. says the crowd noise will not be a factor today. Looks left all the way, avoids the sack, pulls it up, fires, flag is down. The pass is caught at the 46, and another flag is thrown at the 50-yard line. So we've got two of them. Calvin Williams with the catch, and here is Tom White, our referee. Holding Philadelphia.
This may be a case where the receiver was out of bounds as well and made him ineligible.
Went out of bounds, was first to come back in and catch the ball. That's an incomplete pass by virtue of going out of bounds and coming back in and first to catch it. We have a holding, 69, 10 yards, still second down.
Well, there is no number 69 for the Eagles, so we'll just have to say that the offensive lineman who got called for that holding got away with one there.
Certainly did. 2nd and 16. Backs are split. Two wide receivers right side. Four-man rush. Cunningham across the middle. That's caught at the 35-yard line. The catch is made by Calvin Williams, number 89.
Part of the game plan for the Eagles today will put Herschel Walker in the I formation behind Heath Sherman and at least start the game with some misdirection type of plays. The Cowboys pursue so well. They have such great penetration along that defensive line that Kotite wants to give them a look of running to the weak side and have Herschel cut it back strong side.
Dallas Cowboys led the league in defense against third downs in 1992. It's 3rd and 4. And Haley comes offside.
And that'll give the Eagles a first down because Haley was so far offsides, couldn't get back.
Unless there was motion in the offensive line. That's what Jimmy Johnson is claiming. Cunningham arguing, but the Cowboys Tolbert is clapping. This one may go against Philadelphia. Well, they won the division and they won the first argument, apparently.
False start. Center, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
They're going to call Dave Alexander. The center must have moved the ball. Haley saw it out of the periphery of his vision there and jumped off sides. Watch the ball right here. That's a questionable call there. Didn't see any movement at all, except for big number 94 coming on the quarterback's blind side.
Quick trigger. In week 4, 31-7. Byers in motion. Cunningham looking left all the way. Fires to Walker. And he is thumped out of bounds at the 35-yard line by Darren Woodson, number 28, who's been a big addition to the nickel defensive package of Dave Wanstead and the Cowboys.
A perfect start for the Cowboys as their defense stops the Eagles on their first possession. And then they'll bring on their special teams where they are so excellent at blocking punts, especially number 30, Isaac Holt.
It was Kelvin Martin who a year ago stabbed the Eagles with an 85-yard punt return in Philadelphia that knocked them out of the playoffs. Fiegels with a terrific punt. There is a flag down. And Kelvin Martin is cut down at the 18-19-yard line. Now we'll see if the Eagles might have left early or the Cowboys were offside.
Jimmy's trying to get that same call. This will be against the Cowboys, and this will give the Eagles that first down. Crucial mistake on 4th and less than 5 yards to jump off sides on the punt block team.
Well, Pat Beach is the center on kicking situations, and Johnson, I think, is claiming that he moved the ball as Alexander did earlier.
Now here's Beach right in the middle, and he moved the ball, but he moved it forward to cock it and get it loaded and snap it between his legs.
Offsides, number 30 defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
Ike Holt, who, if anybody blocks one for Dallas today, that'll be the man. And Johnson did not win that conversation. 1st and 10 at the 41. No score. 12-13 to go first quarter. Single setback, and Cunningham to throw. Into the flat for Herschel Walker. They use him as a wide receiver. He was an outstanding pass catcher out of the backfield during his duration in Dallas.
Well, we've seen Randall very patient in the pocket on his first 2 pass attempts, just dumping it off to Herschel on the swing, and that time it paid off for him as it picked up about 8 yards. That builds confidence in a quarterback, something Kotite says is very important. He has a determined number 12 playing for him, but he still, Kotite that is, worries about his confidence level.
2nd down and 2 officially. They hand it off to Heath Sherman, and he's got the 1st down as he crosses into Cowboy country at the 47-yard line.
Cunningham is off to a 3-for-3 start, so that bodes well for Eagle fans and for the Eagle offense. But this guy right here, Heath Sherman, has been so important lately for the Eagles. 105 yards last week against New Orleans. And this is why it's so hard to see back here, and he makes sharp cuts.
On 1st and 10, Kotite and the Eagles go with what they call an ace package. 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and 1 running back. 1st and 10 at the Cowboy 47. Short set pass, Barnett. Hit immediately and dropped at the 41-yard line. That's a gain of 7 to Fred Barnett, who had 2 catches for touchdowns last week in New Orleans.
Now we look at this formation. Here's Byers, and here's Mo Johnson. So this is the ace formation, 2 tight ends, and outside are 2 wide receivers. What this does is gives these Eagles balance across the entire line. Good pass protection there, and this is a nice 7-yard gain on 1st down.
That's a formation we might see a lot of during 3rd down and long today.
It's going to force Haley and the other defensive ends to rush wider and give Cunningham more room to scramble up the middle.
2nd and 3. Walker dances into the secondary with another Philadelphia 1st down. He is tackled at the 31 after a gain of 9.
Well, Baldinger and Alexander are going to open up a nice hole on the left side. 72 is Alexander. And watch as Herschel jumps through this hole for the 1st down. A 9-yard pickup, and this is his longest run in a playoff game. His previous long was 7 yards last week against New Orleans.
He would deny any emotion about this game, but if you know him, you know that the emotion is present.
Has to be.
1st and 10. Walker comes left. Bobs and weaves and breaks the tackle. And the Eagles are doing an early job on the number 1 rushing defense in the National Football League.
And that time they went right at Charles Haley, number 94, and this is what they want to do. They feel that Haley is a little bit undersized for a defensive end. He's controlled by the tight end there. Barnett gets an excellent job kicking out the cornerback Brown, and it's a 1st down for the Eagles as they enter the red area.
And a gain of 13, already 27 yards for Herschel Walker. 1st down from the 17. Byers comes in motion, then turns back and leads Walker through the hole at right guard. And this time the defense holds, but a little bit of a twist on that running play as Byers turned back and was the lead blocker.
And the reason they call it the red area is that's an alert for the offense. Red is an alert color. It means stop. It means danger. Well, the danger is here that this is the area of the field where defenses like to blitz a lot. And no team likes to blitz more in this area than the Dallas Cowboys. That time, just too many bodies up there for Walker to get loose.
2nd down and 8. No score. 8:05 to go first quarter. Ace formation again. Play action. Cunningham with a bootleg. Chased by Haley, and Haley hits the ball. Incomplete.
This is an exceptional play by Charles Haley as he has to play the run and then come out on the bootleg. Watch his right hand get in on this play, and watch his left hand, his near hand, Outstanding play by Charles Haley.
Dave Wanstead said yesterday when asked which player had to come up big in this game defensively, Charles Haley. And he's had, though statistically not a sensational year, he has been the acknowledged leader of this defense since coming here from the 49ers. 3rd and 8. Byers again. Cunningham dodges right, fires in the end zone, incomplete. The intended receiver was Calvin Williams. And we will see another of the former Cowboys, Roger Ruzek. That was Kevin Smith, the first-round draft pick from A&M, defending.
But it was also characteristic of Cunningham to give his receiver a shot at that ball. And the smart thing was is he threw it in an area where only his receiver could catch it, or it would go out of bounds and not turn into an interception.
Ruzek has had 3 field goals blocked this year. The center is Pat Beach. The holder is Jeff Feagles. 33 yards out. And that one is perfect. It's a 32-yard field goal for a man who was cut by the Dallas Cowboys in 1989. Cut, as a matter of fact, by that man.
I really think that this is the best that we have felt going into a Philadelphia game. I really didn't feel like we had a good enough team back years ago to go into a Philadelphia game. We've won 2 out of the last 3, and I feel good.
Well, they lost their first game this season in Philadelphia 31-7, but despite that loss on Monday night, Johnson said it was a problem with turnovers. They moved the ball well. That gave him confidence. Roger Ruzek, who sprained an ankle on an extra point when hit late last week in New Orleans, will kick off, and Kelvin Martin is the deep man. 3-0 Philly. That one takes a high bounce, and Kelvin Martin has it at the 13. Got some room. Tackle from behind. Scott Kowalkowski got him. But he still removes it to the 47-yard line. Make it the 46.
They call him Kmart, and Kelvin Martin is really an Eagle killer. He has had outstanding games against Philadelphia, not only returning kicks but receiving. This big hop really kind of froze the Eagles, and it's a touchdown-saving tackle from behind by Kowalkowski, where Martin is gone. Watch the wedge open up to the right side here. Vincent Smith and Clayton Holmes are going to get big blocks. There's Holmes.
And the ball is down at the 46 after the 40-yard return. Joe Avizano, the special teams coach. Special teams, usually a prominent part of the Cowboys. They have been somewhat inconsistent this year, but on the first opportunity, Kelvin Martin makes a big play.
They've been inconsistent because of injuries. Johnson told us that the injuries that the Cowboys have suffered this year have impacted his special teams performance more than anything.
Cowboys will have Troy Aikman at quarterback. He started all 16 games this year, and this is his first career start. Recall that last year he was injured and Steve Berline was a starter. It's Tuanay and Newton, Stepnoski, Giesick, Eric Williams, and Novacek. Smith, Johnston, Michael Irvin, and Alvin Harper in the backfield and wide receivers. And it's coordinated by that man, Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator of the Cowboys, who came here from the Rams last year.
And Norv is a former teammate of mine at the University of Oregon.
Go Ducks.
Go Ducks, and learned a lot of offense from Ernie Zampese with the Rams. And has come down here and turned Troy Aikman and this offensive program around.
First down and 10, and there had been a time called on the field. Now we're ready to go. That was an official timeout, by the way, not charged to either team. 24-17. The last time the Cowboys had a playoff game at home. That was at the end of the '83 season. Aikman will throw on first down. Johnston, it's too high and behind him. Reggie White limited to 2 tackles the last time these two teams met, and the man he's up against, Eric Williams, was voted Offensive Player of the Week You don't think he's heard a little bit about that?
Yeah, really.
Harmon, Golick, and Simmons complete the front four. Joyner, Evans, and Thomas, the linebackers. And the secondary, Mark McMillan, Allen, Miano, and Booty. And there is Bud Carson, the outstanding defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. 2nd and 10, Novacek in motion. Emmitt Smith gets a couple.
One thing we'll see from Dallas is a very conservative game plan by Norv Turner and Jimmy Johnson. They know that this defense of the Eagles has the ability to make a lot of turnovers, create those turnovers, and Johnson doesn't want to help him any. He said, in fact, yesterday, he's got to be willing to, if things start to go bad, to pull back and just run the ball and punt it and not put his defense in bad position.
3rd down and 9. Eagles show a blitz. They're not coming. Aikman with time goes right for Novacek. Big catch. That's enough to move the chain. Well, he's an all-pro starter again this year, and he slumped horribly at the middle of the season. Matter of fact, the last game these two teams played, Novacek dropped a couple.
Number 84 is Novacek going against 59, Seth Joyner. And I think Joyner has interception on his mind as he cuts inside looking for the pick. But that was a perfect throw by Aikman, high into the outside, taking advantage of Novacek's height at 6 feet 4 inches tall.
Troy Aikman said that Jay Novacek has to have a big day today if the Cowboys are to win, and he expects him to do so, because he thinks the Eagles will key on Emmitt Smith and stop him, as they did on that play.
And he wants Jay to get loose on 1st and 2nd down and a lot of those short intermediate routes the Cowboys like to run so much. But it was kind of unusual to hear Aikman say, when I asked him who has to play well for you, just give me one guy. He says, without a doubt, it's got to be Novacek.
His second choice might surprise you a little bit.
He said it would be Kelvin Martin in 3rd down situations, because he realizes that the Eagles are going to be looking for Irvin and for Emmitt Smith.
2nd down and 9, 3-0. Philadelphia leads it. Aikman straight drop, not much pressure. Goes deep and misfires. Novacek, who is open with Byron Evans covering him. And it will be 3rd and 9.
And everybody that plays the Eagles, they want to run right in this triangle here because of guys like Simmons and Reggie White and Seth Joyner. If they're going to have any success, they've got to move Golick and Harmon out of the way. But this man, Byron Evans, he leads the team in tackles with over 150. It's a lot of action right in that triangle.
Reggie White finds his spot. 5:39 to go. 3rd and 9. We're in the first quarter of play. Trap play. Emmitt Smith. Perfect call by Norval Turner. A gain of 16 up the middle.
Up the middle's the key, Vern, right in that little triangle we're talking about. Mark Stepnoski's going to the Pro Bowl. He's our center. Watch him push Reggie White right out of the hole. And it's just a huge gaping hole for Emmitt Smith. He takes the ball inside the 20. Reggie thinking pass all the way. Perfect call by Turner and company.
Gain of 16 and a 1st down at the 17-yard line. Under 5 minutes remaining. First quarter, 3-0 Philadelphia. This is Michael Irvin in motion. And again, Aikman will throw it. Or scramble. Down to the 11. Tackle is made by Seth Joyner. And a gain of 6.
When the Cowboys get down in this area, they take care of business. 56 times they've been here. Got 30 touchdowns and 16 field goals, but they're going against the Eagles, and Reggie White told us yesterday this is where that defense really gets tough. They are very defensive about guarding that end zone. They don't mind a team coming away with a field goal, but they don't want to give up that touchdown.
2nd down and 4. Ball play again. And Emmitt Smith stutters up the middle and may have moved it enough to also move the chain. It's a gain of 6.
Emmitt Smith hasn't missed a game in his career with the Cowboys because he avoids the big hit. probably better than any running back I've ever seen, and he's very conscious about it. Watch as he just bobs and weaves in this hole, sliding and always going forward. Keeps his head and shoulders low, and defensive guys never get a clean head-on shot on Emmitt Smith. 18
rushing touchdowns this year. That set a Cowboy club record. It's 1st and goal at the 5. Eric Tennell in motion. They hand it to Smith. And he is popped by Eric Allen and John Booty as he's tackled also by Byron Evans at the 2-yard line.
And just to punctuate the point that Reggie made about guarding that defense, that end zone, they've only given up 4 rushing touchdowns all year. One of those came last week against the Saints. And that's why Byron Evans coming over, mirroring the halfback Smith and making a big hit.
2nd and goal from the 3. 2:45 to go, 1st quarter. Mark Stepnoski over the ball. Backs in the eye. Tennell in motion. Run blitz. Flags all over the place. And here's Tom White.
Offside. Number 92 defense. Half the distance for the goal.
Reggie White is offside.
Here's Reggie all the way to the outside here. They're all jumping. They could have called about 3 or 4 Eagles on that jailbreak that time.
Kevin Gogan has come in, and that's normal in goal line. Easy for me to say. Goal line in short yardage situations, number 66. 2nd down, 3-0 Philadelphia with 2:10 to go. Opening quarter of play. Play action into the end zone. Derek Tennell, a one-time teammate of Aikman's at UCLA, and just signed after the regular season concluded. He's not even being paid by the Cowboys. His contract stipulates he gets paid the playoff bonus check for as long as the Cowboys last.
But he knows that Cowboy tradition of taking that football and putting it on your mantle at home. Don't let anybody have that one.
Lynn Elliott's extra point is up and good.
Tennell just signed on December 29th, wide open in the corner of the end zone. The Cowboys answer the Eagles with a touchdown of their own.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football Conference Divisional Playoff is sponsored by the Heartbeat of America, Chevrolet, and your local Chevy dealer.
The frigid Irving, Texas seemed to have been raised 5 or 6 degrees by the catch. Now Lynn Elliott will kick off. The Cowboys lead it 7-3, and this is taken by Sikahema at the 9-yard line. And he runs into the covey of Cowboys at the 27-yard line, led by Thomas Everett, who, by the way, has changed his number since the last time you saw him. Gervin Richards, the running back, fumbled twice against Chicago in the last game of the regular season. He wore 27. He was cut. Everett said, "I like that number. I've had it for 10 years. Give me 27. Been an unusual season for Rich Kotite and the Eagles. They started out 4-0, hit a slump after losing to Kansas City, then came back and won their last 4 regular season games and tacked on a 5th win last week in New Orleans, their first road playoff win since 1949. Here's Heath Sherman, stuffed by Ken Norton.
And this touchdown played to Tennell, watch him right here. Watch also Rose and Seth Joyner right here. One of these two men have him in pass coverage. I think it's Rose because he's coming out kind of lost. He gets hit on the chin, and Tennell is wide open. Joyner was on a blitz trying to stop Emmitt Smith.
Loss of 2 on the last play. Backs are split behind Cunningham. Calvin Williams comes in motion. No flag. Yes, there is. As a matter of fact, the play is whistled dead.
It looked like Casillas jumped, but he might have been drawn off sides again by the Eagles. They say the noise won't affect him, but we've seen a few jumpy Eagles already today.
Richie Kotite had crowd noise pumped into practice for the last 2 weeks, not only for the trip down to New Orleans, but also for the Texas Stadium crowd.
We had the defense jumping into the neutral zone. Number 61 offense moved. This is a false start. 5-yard penalty. If this happens hereafter in the ball game, the penalty is on the defense.
The last part of that explanation was interesting.
Yeah, this is one of those plays where Casillas jumps offside 75. Eric Floyd is 61. He flinches back because he thinks the guy's coming. His job is to protect the quarterback. But the interesting part is what Tom White said, is if this happens again, if Casillas or any of the other Cowboys jumps off sides and an offensive player moves, the call will go against Dallas.
On second down, Cunningham right side. Cameron Smith, the #1 draft choice, makes the tackle of Calvin Williams. Smith from Texas A&M grew up in Orange, Texas, where he said his father was a Cowboy fan, but his mother was an Oiler fan.
I asked him if we could see his father in the crowd today wearing a blue 26. He said, well, you will definitely hear his presence because he is all for us today.
That's the end of the first quarter with the score Dallas 7 and the Philadelphia Eagles 3. Eagles from Texas Stadium. Vern Lundquist along with Dan Fouts. A 3rd down and 10. And the Philadelphia Eagles go with their ace formation. That's Byers in motion. A 4-man rush. Cunningham pumps, flips it out. It's hit again. And Haley was in his face. I'm not sure if Haley got a deflection or not.
I believe it was Leon Lett, big number 78, who goes about 6'6". This is one of the reasons why the Cowboys are the best in the NFL on 3rd down conversions. Watch Lett just stick that left hand up there and snuff it. That's 0 for 3 now for the Eagles on 3rd down.
That brings on Jeff Feagles, who makes an art out of high, deep kicks. Low snap. And you say that, and this is a wobbly line drive, but it gets a heck of an eagle bounce and limps inside the 20 and is down at the 17-yard line. The Dallas Cowboys have a 7-3 lead on the strength of a 2-yard touchdown catch by Derek Tennell. Cowboys have both the lead and the ball, and they've not yet seen Andre Waters on defense. Waters, who has been out with a broken fibula most of the season and was rather vocal. He's taken the passive approach with the sign on his head. At least it doesn't say Roselle. He won't be fined for that like Jimmy McMahon was once.
And I know you can quote
Psalm 70?
Yes, sir.
No, I worked on Leviticus 14:34 this morning. I skipped that one. 1st down and 10. Andre Waters, of course, has been very vocal about his pending confrontation with Emmitt Smith after the first game on Monday night. Here's the call.
Ball start. Number 61 offense, 5 yards. Still 1st down.
Nate Newton.
Kotite told us last night that he doesn't really expect Andre to play a whole lot. His leg is sound, but he's just not in football shape. He may be the highest paid cheerleader, though, as he's already riled things up both here in Dallas and in Philly.
1st down and 15. Cowboys lead it 7-3. Emmitt Smith, the object of Andre Waters' ire. Emmitt Smith said he was staying out of it. He had said what he had to say after the Monday night game. And if you somehow have been traveling to Mars, what he said was that he considered Andre Waters the dirtiest player in the National Football League.
And
that is not an opinion that Emmitt Smith has by himself.
And I'm not sure that Andre doesn't like that reputation.
I believe he gets a lot of emotion and inspiration off of it.
Well, his nickname is Dirty Waters.
2nd and 16. 7-3 Dallas. Aikman across the middle. Whoa. Darrell Johnston, the intended receiver. No flag. That was William Thomas defending.
This is Troy Aikman's first playoff start, Vern, and he's throwing the ball a little bit hot in this first half. He's missed a couple of times. He's 2 out of 5, but a lot of his misses have been high. This one goes right between the hands of Johnston, and William Thomas was all over his back but didn't get the call.
3rd down and 16. 7-3 Dallas. 3 wide receivers, Kelvin Martin in the slot, followed by Eric Allen defensively. They hand it off, and they'll punt it. Seth Joyner makes the tackle, a gain of 3.
And that gives an indication of what Johnson wants from his offense today. Don't be afraid if you're in a backed up situation like this to just run the ball. We'll kick it back to Philadelphia, then we'll go play defense. What he doesn't want is what happened in the first game against these 2 teams when the Cowboys turned it over 4 times.
Eagles send 2 men back, Sikahema and Jeff Seidner. Mike Saxon with a 43-yard average. He's one of the older Cowboys in terms of length of service. And it's a line drive punt. Joe Avizano was worried about that. It's been a problem, and here's the contact made at the 50. Mike Saxon went through a period in the middle of the season when the average hang time on his punts was 3.3 to 3.6. That is not acceptable in this league. He'd improved recently, but that one was costly.
Is sponsored by McDonald's.
Randall Cunningham off to a nice start for the Eagles. Derek Tennell scored the only touchdown we've seen in the game, and Emmitt Smith, who had 163 yards the last time these 2 teams met, has 29 thus far in the game. David Wannstedt, the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys.
And his main concern today is what he's seen the last couple weeks out of the Eagle wide receivers is their athletic ability. This catch by Barnett between 2 Saint defenders is as good as you'll ever see. And they worked very hard against that type of play in practice. Larry Brown and Kevin Smith were told by Wannstedt to play the ball more. Don't play the receiver so much. If the ball is up for grabs, you go get it. Don't let him have it.
Richie Kotite also said, we will take our shots. They might now. 1st and 10 at midfield. 7-3, and Cunningham on play action. Goes deep, and it's for Barnett, who has to adjust his route. It was a little bit to the outside, and it's incomplete.
You know, it looked like to me, Vern, that Barnett had trouble picking this ball up. This is a difficult stadium to see balls sometimes because of this hole in the roof. You're adjusting, you're trying to outrun the defensive back, and he doesn't pick this ball up until he's almost 40 yards down the field. Good coverage by the Cowboys.
2nd down and 10. Heath Sherman comes in now, and they go back to the ace set with Mo Johnson as an extra tight end. Sherman gets the handoff and finds Robert Jones draped all over him. The middle linebacker, #1 draft pick out of East Carolina. Only the 2nd rookie to ever start at that spot for the Dallas Cowboys. The other guy wore the same number. His name was Leroy Jordan.
But this play is a case of just the center knowing what the snap count is, or maybe he doesn't know what it is because he's going to snap it and then everybody moves. Eagles timing way out of sync on that 2nd down play.
3rd down and 8. Make it 3rd and 9. 7-3 Dallas. Shotgun. 4-man rush with a corner blitz, and the ball is short. Byers with the catch. Interesting defensive tactic by Wannstedt. He had Kenneth Gant coming on a blitz from the corner and Woodson coming, but they were 2 outside men making only a 4-man rush. And
the heavyweights are busy fighting, Vern. See, they let the little defensive backs come on the pass rush. And those big defensive linemen, their job is to go out there and knock somebody down in the secondary. Watch the blitz from this side here as they exchange responsibilities. The defensive tackles just drop right out of there, and that's why Dave Wanstead is being courted by a few teams that are looking for head coaches. Very creative, and he has coached the #1 defense in the NFL this year.
Heath Sherman is in the lineup as the up back, but they will snap the punt and kick it away. Nice high kick by Fiegels, and it takes a Philadelphia roll. What a punt by Jeff Fiegels, who was signed by Jimmy Johnson out of a kicking camp after his senior year at a small Catholic high school in Phoenix, Arizona. Jeff Fiegels could not have done it better. Cowboys have the ball at their own 1.
As you can see, Kelvin Martin's #2 in the NFL as a punt returner. I think he misjudged this one. It bounces at about the 11-yard line. And so that makes that a 10-yard misjudgment as they start on the 1.
Strength of the formation to the left side. And Aikman will throw out of the end zone. With time, goes deep, left side. Battle for it, incomplete. Flag is down. It's going to be on either Alvin Harper or Eric Allen. And I think it's going to be on Eric Allen.
Well, our back judge, Dean Look, says, come on down, boys. This one's going against Allen. He waved to both squads and the officials that it's against the Eagles, and the Cowboys get out of a hole in just one play.
Pass interference. Number 21 defense.
That's a right hand right there. And that gets the call as this ball is almost caught by Harper. 6'3", and it just goes off his fingertips. So perhaps that's a good play by Eric Allen.
39-yard penalty. That's the 5th against an Eagle team that had 101 penalties in regular season play. First down and 10. Emmett Smith, whoa, boy. Andy Harmon made a heck of a defensive play, number 91.
You know, Allen may think that the official can't quite see his right hand, but here it is right there. The official is standing over to this side. He's got that bicep pretty good there, and that keeps Harper from extending. And Vern, dare I say it's a game of inches?
Yeah, and they'll hit you.
And these teams don't like each other.
Second down. Here comes Golick. That's going to be a holding call. They're going to bring that one back against Dallas as Mike Golick had knifed through, and Reggie White finally got there. There is Mike Golick, who is one of the more refreshing young men in this league. He has a message for his brother Bob of the Raiders, by the way.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to get in touch with Bob. That's B. Golick. This is M. Golick.
He says, to the hands, number 79 to the head. The penalty is declined. We'll take the result of the play. Third down.
He wants Bob to give him a call. So, Bob, if you're listening, call your brother, will you? Eric Williams is going to get called for the blow to the head. And the penalty declined. Golick gets the sack.
Third down and 17. 7-3. Dallas leads. 3 receivers. Good blocking. Aikman, right side. And again, Dan, the pass was high.
But again, it was incomplete, and that'll bring on the punting team. So as far as avoiding the pass down inside in the middle where interceptions have it, and where they happen so often, Aikman let that one go high to the outside, but that wasn't going to pick up the first down. Irvin was short of the down marker.
By Sikahema. Waits for the return. He had one for a touchdown of 87 yards and then nearly took out the upright on the goalpost. One of the more memorable scenes of this year. And here's Saxon's second punt. That's not particularly good. Sikahema, that's particularly good. I don't know about the dance, but the tackle was terrific.
And it's amazing for a punt that had a hang time of about 2 seconds. This is twice now that Saxon's got off real low punts, and the Eagles have not been able to take advantage of it. Here's number 29, Gant, and Sikahema doesn't have a chance.
Saxon on the right. Joe Avizano, his special teams coach, on the left, concerned about the hang time during a conversation yesterday. Here's Heath Sherman bouncing it to the outside. And he picks up a good amount of yardage out near the 34-yard line. Vincent Smith makes the stop. Well, these two teams met in week 4 and week 8. And look what's happened in the last half of the season.
And 100 of these 600 yards for Sherman came last week against that exceptional defense of the New Orleans Saints. But that's real good balance when you get this type of running out of 2 backs.
It'll be 2nd down and 3 after the 7-yard gain. 7-3. Dallas leads it. Sherman rather. And that is about a half a foot short of the first down at the 38-yard line. Heath Sherman was a 6th-round draft pick from Texas A&I, where he was a collegiate teammate of Johnny Bailey, who set all kinds of running records in collegiate circles. He's from El Campo, Texas, down near the coast, where he was an outstanding member of the El Campo Ricebirds. Yes.
Ricebirds.
I taught you well.
Yes.
And then he went to college and played for the Javelinas.
Texas A&I. I got it all.
3rd and 1. Sherman. Jones. Close. Real close. And he gets a left foot spot. What do you think?
Well, the left foot's good because that's the one that's further down the field than the right foot. But so far, the Eagles haven't been able to convert on 3rd down, going against the #1 team in the league in that category. Yeah, get out of the way so we can see, guys.
Alexander's got
short
the right
again.
idea. Yep.
Now, will Kotite be aggressive here? Not this time, sending out the punt team.
Now he does have the feint punt in the arsenal today.
It's a heck of a play by Robert Jones, but he needed help from Thomas Everett and number 51, Ken Norton. That's a real trademark of this Dallas defense, and probably why they don't have anybody going to the Pro Bowl, because they play such good team defense. They all help each other out.
Last time a team led the National Football League in defense and had no members in the Pro Bowl, Cincinnati in 1983. Here's Fiegels. That one is not as good as the last, but it gets another bounce by Kelvin Martin. So he has misjudged the last 2 punts.
And he's hearing it from the Cowboy faithful 3 times now, actually, Vern, where the ball has bounced in front of Martin. And he's a little bit troubled about it, as you can see, and the ball has bounced in the Eagles' favor.
Well, the winner of this game goes west, and they get to play on that lovely surface at Candlestick against the 49ers.
I haven't seen that field so wet since the San Francisco Giants played the LA Dodgers in the 1962 playoff game.
You know, the last time it was a point of controversy that I recall was the Dallas 49er game in January of '82. Here's Aikman. Little lob pass, and Emmitt Smith drops it. Wow.
You know what we're seeing, Vern, is we're seeing a team that got that week off. They're just not in sync on offense, and this guy is throwing the ball just a little bit too crisply. That ball got, again, right through a receiver's hands. First it was Darrell Johnston. That one went through Smith's hands and hit him right in the helmet.
Troy Aikman is 2 out of 7 for 11 yards. Those are, by any measuring stick, modest numbers. Meanwhile, the #1 defense in the league huddles. It's 2nd down and 10. Smith switches out across the 20 near the 21. That'll bring up a 3rd and 5 or 6, depending on the spot.
Emmitt Smith led the league in rushing again this year, and a unique running type of style. Watch him use his hand to find this hole. Right hand leading him. Fends off that guy. Protects the ball with his left hand. William Thomas looking for the strip. Not going to get it.
Emmitt Smith has fumbled just once in 8 previous games at Texas Stadium this year. Very proud of that. Here's the stunts. There's the pass. It's first down, Dallas. Kelvin Martin. And a flag is thrown. 5'6" Mark McMillan defending. And from Golick's reaction, you can tell this one's going against the Eagles. Here's Tom White.
Pass interference, number 29 defense. The penalty is declined. They'll take the ball at the spot of the completion. First down.
Take a look at McMillan against Martin in the slot. He's guarding the outside. He breaks on the ball, but he just gets there a little bit too early. But when you're only 5'6", better to be early than late.
Or tall than short. First and 10. Blitz. Evans. Aikman in trouble. Got him. Byron Evans right up the middle.
And he got help from William Thomas, something the Eagles don't do very often, and that's blitz with their linebackers. Byron Evans, this will be his first sack of the year. And he comes right up the middle. Newton can't quite get over to him in time. And Aikman doesn't have a chance. Thomas came from the other side. So an uncharacteristic move, but a very typical move by defensive coordinator Bud Carson, changing things up.
It was a year ago here that the Eagles had 11 sacks in defeating the Cowboys. That was early in the season. Aikman back across the middle. And William Thomas gets a hand in front of Alvin Harper. That pass is incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 19 with 7:01 to go in the first half.
What we're seeing is a team in the Eagles that's just a little bit quicker. And I think that's the benefit you have when you don't have that week off. When you do continue to play games in successive weeks, they appear right now to be quicker than the Cowboys, and that's a trait of the Cowboys.
3rd and 19. 7-3. Dallas leads it. Aikman incomplete. Kelvin Martin wants a penalty on that play, doesn't get it. So the Cowboys will be forced to punt it away. They had a very crisp drive to open this game. Got a 2-yard touchdown pass from Aikman to Tanell, but offensively they have misfired since then.
And they're frustrating Troy Aikman. Only 3 out of 10 so far, and very, very tight man-to-man coverage by the Eagles secondary.
Saxon with problems getting the punt high on his last 2 attempts. Sikahema waits at the 35-yard line. That's a little better, but returnable at the 30. Down at the 40, Dale Hellestray, the man who snapped the ball, was down there to make the tackle, number 70. Now Troy Aikman hit 64% of his passes in a stellar year. He stumbled out of the gate this afternoon.
Gentlemen, is their rival, but here it's legitimate. These guys have a legitimate hate for each other. You know, the Andre Waters, Emmitt Smith thing, a lot of places those kinds of things are manufactured, but here it's for real.
Well, one of the controversies involving these two teams before Sikahema got there was the so-called Bounty Bowl, when the Cowboys alleged there was a bounty placed on Luis Zendejas. Eagles deny it to this day. First down and 10. Here's Herschel Walker hit behind the line. Dropped for a loss to 38 by Tony Casillas. And so if you're a special teams member in playing in this game, I guess you've got to be a little wary, Dan.
Well, Saxon, he is very aware that he's a prime target, so he slips on the star. But this kid, Gerhardt, he just joined the team. You're not supposed to help a Cowboy up. You're supposed to drill him. Bury him there in the Lone Star.
The rivalry goes back to the 60s, the early 60s. Second down and 12, 7-3. Dallas leads it. They are showing blitz. They're coming. Cunningham stands tall. Goes left. Good defensive play by Kevin Smith. Young man from Orange, Texas.
And the pressure was on Smith that time because of the blitz, as you called, Vern. That means man-to-man coverage in the secondary. Watch the linebackers come. Jones up the middle. All three of them are coming. Cunningham is lucky that Smith didn't jump inside and pick that one off.
Eagles have yet to convert on third down. It's 3rd and 12. They are 0 of 5. Dallas will send 4 after Cunningham and drop the remainder. He wings it, and it's caught, but a yard short. It'll be 4th down at midfield.
Eagles have had real good field position. Kotite says go for it.
He said, I'm going for it.
So it's 4th and about a foot or so. But he likes his field position here, and he also has the comfort in knowing he's got an outstanding defense.
Eagles are 7 of 14 for the season on 4th down. 4th and a foot. Walker the setback, the erstwhile Cowboy. Cunningham, 1st down, Philadelphia. And the crowd goes oofta.
And quiet. They made that easily. Cunningham at 6'4", a lot stronger than he appears. And that's their first 4th down conversion of the day on their only attempt.
Under 5 minutes to go first half. 7-3, Dallas leads it. Both teams scored on their first possessions of the game. Heath Sherman is back in the lineup now. Twin receivers to the right side with Byers in motion. Cunningham caught and dropped. Russell, Maryland. That's number 3.5 for the season for the #1 draft choice 2 years ago.
And the unique thing about the Cowboys and their style of play is their defensive line just hits gaps. They're not two gappers. They don't read. They just have one responsibility and they go for it. The play there, although Maryland makes the sack, it's Charles Haley that came around and forced Cunningham right into Maryland.
And
Good
he was
teamwork.
coming from the left side that time instead of the right.
Working on Antone Davis.
2nd and 16. Straight pressure again. Here comes Cunningham at his most dangerous. But Vincent Smith did a pretty decent job of catching up with him.
Jimmy Johnson has always placed a high premium on team speed. He also likes guys that are young, and he likes guys that are light. He doesn't like a bunch of fat guys. He says we're the lightest team and the youngest team and perhaps the fastest team in the NFL.
They average 25.5 years per man. Total yards, Philadelphia has doubled the Cowboys, but they trail 7-3. And they're looking at a 3rd and 10 on this play. Williams and Green go to the left side.
They're going to have to call timeout because the play clock is all the way down to 1 second.
And after the administrative stoppage of play because of the timeout, they'll have 25 seconds the next time they huddle.
Heads up, though, by Cunningham. It's tough to pick up a 3rd and 10 or 11, but it's a lot tougher to pick up a 3rd and 15 or 16 if they would have had a delay of game penalty there.
Dan, you talk about the rivalry between the Eagles and the Cowboys. I don't think has been as fierce as that between Dallas and Washington back in the Landry-George Allen days. But when Dick Vermeil was at Philadelphia and Landry was here in the late 70s, early 80s, these two teams got on it pretty good. And Philadelphia beat Dallas the only time they played in the playoffs for the NFC Championship in 15-degree weather in 1980. But then when Buddy Ryan came aboard at Philadelphia, before Jimmy Johnson got here, The rivalry began to get intense, and it's grown ever since.
Yeah, Buddy stirred things up pretty good, but Kotite, he's comfortable with the fact that it's a good rivalry. This is his type of game, being an ex-boxer. He likes that man-on-man challenge.
Out of the shotgun, Cunningham fumbles the ball. And it's out of bounds to be retained by the Eagles. Leon Lett hit him. I'm not sure that Cunningham was ready for David Alexander's snap.
Well, they practiced with crowd noise all week, but there's nothing like the real thing. But he definitely was not ready for this snap. Watch Alexander give it to him while he's still calling signals. This will go down as a fumble for Cunningham. Lett is there to pounce on him, bringing up a punt.
Jeff Feagles, low snap. Kelvin Martin will return this one, but not very far. 31-yard punt by Jeff Feagles and a return of 6. And coming up next, two-time defending national champion and currently top-ranked Duke faces 10.
Because every play for the big guys up front is a street fight.
1st and 10, Dallas with a 7-3 lead. Aikman pumps once and finds Michael Irvin, who has not been a factor in this ball game thus far, at the 37-yard line. That's his first catch.
Aikman has been struggling, so Turner is going to keep things short for him, as we saw with that pass, Vern, to Irvin. But the Cowboys aren't going to give up on their running game. Emmitt Smith is such an important part of this offense with all the yards that he can give you. Watch Turner just keep pounding it to Emmitt.
Novacek in motion. And here's the handoff. He broke it. That'll move the chain. Nice pickup by Emmitt Smith to the 44-yard line, a gain of 7.
Cowboys don't have a lot of running plays, Vern. They just keep giving it to Emmitt. They have about 10 plays in the game plan on the ground. This is one of their favorites, a lead draw. You got the fullback Johnston leading Smith over the left side, and he just uses his eyes to make one play turn into 3 or 4. He's liable to hit any hole along that offensive front.
41 yards on 10 carries thus far in this one. Emmitt Smith, the leading rusher in the NFL, not just this year, but last. We're at the 2-minute warning. Dallas up by 4. In 1989, took over a team that had been 3-13 the year before. 115 to 7-9. The playoffs last year at 11-5. 13-3 this year. First Dallas team in the storied history of this franchise to ever win 13 games. And the crowds are back, and the enthusiasm is palpable in this city. Matter of fact, one chain store, grocery store, took Philadelphia cream cheese off the market for this week. You can't get any in Dallas. 1st and 10. Aikman pumps, goes deep, got a man. Alvin Harper fumbles, picked up by the Eagles. Now they say down by contact, Dallas ball.
They're going to say the ground caused the fumble, that it was an out-and-up move by Alvin Harper against the smaller Mark McMillan, top of the screen. He's just going to make one move to the outside and then get behind McMillan. His knees were down when the ball came out. That's a good call by the official, although it came a little bit late. Cowboys have it inside the 15.
How long do you think we'd be looking at the tape if instant replay were in effect?
Oh, a day or so.
1st down at the 13. Aikman in trouble, scrambles, and then is popped by John Booty, who played collegiately at Texas Christian University. There's John. He is a summer employee of a television station here, WFAA in Dallas.
And Aikman's going to do his Roger Staubach imitation here. Watch him move around in the pocket, avoiding number 92, Reggie White, and then Seth Joyner. Joyner gets taken out by his own man, and then the end of this play, he's going to take on Booty. Gets knocked out of bounds, but he picks up 8 yards.
Cowboys stop the clock with 50 seconds remaining in the first half. Well, in the last meeting down between these two, it was 3-0 at the half in a very tight game, somewhat reminiscent.
And you really got to hand it to the Cowboys offensive coordinator Norv Turner for his play selection. Remember, the Cowboys were backed up on their own 1-yard line. He called for the bomb. They get the pass interference against Eric Allen. Coming out of the 2-minute warning, he goes right to the bomb to Alvin Harper. We'll take another look at the end of the play. Harper is well behind McMillan. The ball is perfectly thrown. And his knee will touch right there, and the ball comes out a split second later. Excellent job of officiating on that play.
The 2nd down and 2, just outside the 5. 51 seconds to go in the first half. Tunnell in motion. Aikman looking left all the way. Fires, caught, touchdown, Novacek. Catches in the regular season. He'll start in the Pro Bowl. And as we said earlier, had some problems with drop passes when these two teams played here in week 8 because he had a cast on his finger. But a big catch for the TD there. And Lynn Elliott's extra point is up and good.
Novacek is going to line up on the left side here. A lot of attention is over on this side. A lot of Eagles are thinking here. You can even see the defensive back looking in. But watch as Novacek gets inside the linebacker, and Aikman cannot throw a better pass low and to the outside as Novacek beats William Thomas for the touchdown. Again, good play selection as the motion went to the far side of the field. Drew the attention of the Eagles that way, and they forgot all about number 84.
Novacek and Troy Aikman both going to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. They are joined by their offensive teammates Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Mark Stepnoski, and Nate Newton, who said when he was selected, people used to laugh at me because I was a fat free agent. Well, they can laugh at me now in my grass skirt.
That's a lot of skirt, too. We talked about Aikman only being 3 out of 10. Well, on that drive, yeah, you see all this. He's got to cover up with that grass skirt. Aikman was 3 out of 3. The big play to Harper, and then the touchdown to Novacek.
From the 35, Lynn Elliott will kick it off. High and short. Taken by Sikahema at the 17. Fumble! Dallas ball. Thomas Everett has it in his hands. Chad Hennings, a former Air Force pilot, getting into a little combat on the sideline.
The kickoff hems Sikahema in on the sidelines, and the Cowboys concentrate their coverage to that side. It's number 28, Darren Woodson, with another big special teams play that causes the fumble. This guy doesn't fumble very often either. Watch Woodson punch it out with his right hand. And it looks like Thomas Everett got it.
And he gets it just inside the 30-yard line. By Sikahema, who has been a standout on special teams this year. Dallas. Aikman across the middle. Kelvin Martin at the 26.
And Aikman will call the Cowboys timeout. This is their second. And they'll have one remaining. A lot of time and real good field position.
What did you think of Jimmy Johnson's game plan as he described it to us on Friday?
Yeah, he told us he feels comfortable with his defense. Obviously, they're the #1 defense in the league, but he also felt comfortable with his special teams because of the play of Woodson and Gant. He was a little bit worried about the Eagle defense, thought they might have an edge as far as their ability to create turnovers and give his offense some problems. So his game plan was to play it very conservatively offense, close to the vest, be patient, move the chains down the field, and let's let those other 2 units on our team make the plays that may decide it. So far, it's worked out perfectly for him.
And yet, I think back to the play they called when they had a 1st and 10 at their own 1-yard line. So there were deviations from the plan at given times.
Well, that's a very important call and a good one by Norv Turner to convince his coach, hey, we still got to be aggressive.
Aikman, 2nd down, across the middle, caught in a crossing pattern, and Kelvin Martin goes out of bounds. That's a gain of 12, and it stops the clock with 26 seconds remaining in the first half. Coming up on the NFL Today halftime report, Greg Terry and Randy Cross will analyze the first half and get you caught up on all the playoff news. That's coming up at halftime.
We're seeing for the Cowboys a hot quarterback right now, 5 in a row for Aikman after a shaky start. He's settled down. That offensive line has kept the Eagles away from him.
1 timeout left for Dallas. They have a 1st down and 10, and my goodness. My gracious.
Yeah, the playoff clock was running down. Novacek wasn't set yet, and that will be discussed on the sidelines as that's the Cowboys' last timeout. You would love to be able to save that one for at least one more try at a touchdown or a field goal.
Troy Aikman comes to the Cowboys sideline. And that is the final timeout, acknowledged by Jimmy Johnson, who said he felt very confident about his team's preparation this week in hosting Philadelphia. They had, I found it interesting that even though they were defeated, it would seem soundly in the first game this year, 31-7, he saw a lot to like in that game about his team.
Well, they moved the ball. And offensively, they haven't been able to do that in the past. What killed them in that game were turnovers. Aikman threw an interception when it looked like the Cowboys were going to go in for a touchdown. And that's the big buzzword for Jimmy Johnson is avoid that turnover.
1st down and 10. Novacek in motion, followed by Frizzell. Aikman falling as he lets it go for Kelvin Martin. Incomplete. It'll be 2nd down.
You just don't have any time to throw against these guys. They're so good at rushing the passer. That time it was Clyde Simmons bringing his 19 sacks back to Aikman. Number 96 working against Tuanay. And then you got Reggie on the other side. And Reggie is going to be the one that take Aikman's legs away from him and cause that incompletion.
Reggie White, who said he grew up as a Cowboy fan, and he in particular admired Randy White. Chattanooga, Tennessee, used to get the games periodically. Also was a big fan of Harvey Martin. Here's Aikman. Caught at the 2. No time left. No timeouts, rather. So they've got to hurry. That's Michael Irvin.
They got plenty of time, Vern. He can get his team to the line of scrimmage and spike the ball and then bring on the field goal kicker.
There it is. 4 seconds remaining. And we will see Lynn Elliott. But they are apparently going to have to settle for 3 when they might have had 7.
Yep, they had to call that timeout because of the play clock running down and not being set in their formation. So this field goal could have been a touchdown, or at least a try for one.
Saw the graphic on Elliott. He missed 2 easy shots against Philadelphia that sent him to 6-14 start this year, but then came back and hit the next 13 in a row. And this one is not the most artistic looking thing I've ever seen, but he got it through. Matter of fact, it was ugly.
It was ugly, but that's a pretty 14-point lead.
That is the end of the first half at Texas Stadium in Irving with our score. The Cowboys 17, the Philadelphia Eagles 3.
Vern, the Eagles went into the dressing room with a sense of urgency but not panic. Assistant coach Zeke Grakowski told me the game's not over. We learned that last week when, of course, they trailed the Saints by 10 points and came back to win. Grakowski said the Eagles have got to get more aggressive. They had 51 yards on their first drive today and only 46 yards in the next 4 drives. Now, the Cowboy assistant coaches said that defensively they're going to beware of the big play. They don't want to see any Cunningham deep to Barnett. In the surprise category, this morning, Norv Turner and Zeke Grakowski were out on the field talking, and Zeke told me that Norv never mentioned Derek Tennell. Vern?
Yes, I think it was a big surprise. Number 89, who caught the touchdown pass. That was the first Dallas TD today. The Cowboys, Charles Haley, and that number 1 defense coming back on the field. They lead by 14 points. The third quarter, Troy Aikman, who had that rough and shoddy start but came on strong to hit 5 in a row and got the touchdown to Jay Novacek. But no surprise, Dan, I think that defense has dominated the first half between these two.
Yeah, as Leslie mentioned, the Eagles started well, but that number 1 defense of the Cowboys really came on strong in that second quarter, and they set up the offense pretty well. It's been a total team thing for the Cowboys. They got the big turnover on the special teams play, but it's that number 1 defense. It's just out-quicking the Eagles right now up front.
Now let's go back to Greg and Terry in New York.
All right, Vern, thank you very much. Randy Cross also